Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, and this is your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today, we're going to dive into a pitch deck from Happy Tea, an infused CBD beverage brand. On the line with us to do that is Katrina Glogowski, an angel investor locally in Seattle.
Morning, Josh.
Morning. Thanks for being with us. So the Talking Hedge has 7 tips to an engaging pitch deck. Number 1 is to identify the business plan goals. Number 2 is know your audience. 3 is understand the market. 4 is identify the needs and roadblocks. Number 5 is know what sets them apart. 6 is introduce the team and product. And 7 is create the summary. So let's jump right into Happy Tea's deck here. Some investment highlights is they have a beverage and branding experts, a premium product line of CBD beverages, distribution channels, establishing and growing, and proven social media influencing marketing.
Josh, I see that slide says investment highlights. I think that's more company highlights as opposed to investment highlights. It does convey information, but it has nothing to do with investment.
I would agree. It's a decent intro, kind of just lays out what they have, but it doesn't have a lot of information. They do mention the team, so that's one of our 7 points. So right off the bat, it does go into the CEO at least, and establishing innovative online direct consumer model, talk about sales efforts, relationship branding, and revenue, of course.
I find that slide from Michael Gonzalez impressive. It says, I have experience in this industry, and that's one of the things investors look for. Can you replicate previous success?
I like the layout. It definitely gives some experience, gives some highlights right there. So kind of jumping ahead, including it in the bio is kind of a nice little highlight, along with this chief operating officer. Looks like he's had some early success as well.
That's reassuring.
Definitely. So he's, included 10 million in previous revenue for a fit tea company. So that's good. So they have a timeline here. So it kind of talks about, step 1 is to launch the product. 2 is leverage management, extensive connections to build distribution. Then talks about developing a powerful network, targeting widespread consumer awareness, expanding the product lines, and then growing sales.
Josh, I think they're trying here with this slide to meet goal number 1. What's the business plan? This is a perfect example. This is where we started, this is where we are, and this is where we want to go. Investors like to see that.
So the next slide is a product line. So they've got, looks like some powdered tea available. Looks like they kind of know their market in terms of the 10 milligram standards. So knowing your audience, understanding the market, that's number 2 and 3. Looks like they're kind of figuring that out with some key trend words like, gluten-free or THC-free, sugar-free, alcohol-free, vegan. All of those things might help with sales.
I agree. And the packaging is pleasant to look at. There's not a lot of cross messaging. It's pretty clear what the product is. And I like it. It looks clean. It looks happy, actually, with the little smiley face there.
Reminds me of Amazon a little bit, but it does introduce the product. They have introduced the team. So that does satisfy number 6 out of the 7. Or at least number 6. And the next slide goes into distribution. So kind of wondering about sales and still looking to see how it sets them apart. But with distribution, it looks like they've got at least North America, looking at Mexico, the UK, and Australia.
That to me is important. They know their market. Their market is not limited to the United States. The CBD market is a worldwide market, and good on them for identifying that.
Definitely. Seeing a distribution deal with South Abrams & Son, a $2.5 billion annual revenue company, is impressive. So knowing that they can get out to the international markets is key. They've had some proven marketing and influencer models, according to this next slide. Talks about having top influencers, proven social media strategy. I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of different companies. I don't know if they've done number 5, which is set their business apart. I think there's a lot of tea companies out here. I'm not sure if, you're going to talk about social media influencers. They definitely haven't come across my path yet.
Agreed.
So maybe that's one that's lacking. We'll see. There's 90 million followers from all of these different individuals. It's an interesting strategy, I guess, to get a model to drink your tea. I've done a previous podcast where there was a individual who had 3.5 million followers and couldn't sell 36 t-shirts. So you have 90 million followers. How many, products did you sell as a result of that?
Right. And this also seems to be an all eggs in one basket approach where we're only going to do social media influencer marketing. I haven't seen too much of anything else yet.
So we're moving on to additional products, additional revenue streams. They have creams and oils. They have CBD shots, sparkling water, CBD gummies, pills, beverage enhancers, which is nice because regulations can slap things in the way and then completely halt that SKU. So having additional revenue, different additional products is good. I'm not sure they have enough SKUs. I think the sweet spot is about 15, but it's a good start.
I agree. And it shows for an investor that this brand can grow. It's not a one shop stop. It's not a one pony deal. You can grow with this company. I like that. And it shows also that the business is planning ahead, not just, we have great tea. What else is next? Investors like that.
Revenue projections. We'll see if these are fairly accurate, just kind of based on what you and I have seen. So the combination of branding, building widespread advertising, and their network of social media leaders will drive direct sales and rapidly accelerate distribution channels. The fiscal year of 2019, they're expecting 4.5 million, followed by 18.5 and 24 million even in 2021.
Josh, I'm going to stop you right there. They are expecting $14.5 million of revenue in 2019. It is currently October of 2019. Unless they're going to have a huge Christmas push, they've raised that much revenue already, fairly close to it. Let's just say 50% by October, given a Christmas push, holiday push. So why do they need money from an investor? This is a weak slide because they could address this very easily and say, 95% of this is going to come with a new product launch. 95% of this is going to come from a holiday campaign. 95% of this is when we get into Whole Foods in November. But I question this slide. $14 million of revenue. Why do you need my money? I don't understand. And I don't think that addresses what they want it to. It's confusing message.
I completely agree, because if you have such a strong balance sheet, why are you out looking for public funds? And you're going to double your sales in just 2 years. That's either really fast, or there's something we're missing that you've already received probably at least 10 million out of that 14 million, because we're already in the fourth quarter of the year.
Right. And that doubling your sales, that would be a very easy thing to address on their slide by saying, when we get into Mexico, when we get into Australia, we expect our sales to double. That's a missed opportunity on that slide to help the investor understand.
They do have a use of proceeds. So they're talking about, marketing at 80% of the proceeds.
This again concerns me. All the eggs in one basket, and they're going to pay social media experts, influencers, and other celebrities. And if you notice way down there in the corner of the slide, they're devoting a full 5% of their marketing budget to the Kardashians. Now, this is a valid way to go about advertising your product, but do the Kardashians play in Mexico, in Europe, in Australia? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I'm going to say that they're struggling to know their audience. Talking Hedge tip number 2, know your audience. While some millennial types will drink this tea, a large segment of your consumer is going to be soccer moms. And maybe soccer moms sit around and follow Kim Kardashian, but I don't know that that's the case, especially to devote so much of your resources to social media campaigning is a questionable business decision.
Also, understanding the market, I think it lags behind that, because we've seen that celebrity influences have absolutely no effect on sales. We've also seen social media influencers not being able to turn that into revenue. And yet, in addition to Kim Kardashian's 5% allocation, they have celebrity marketing at 11% of total marketing dollars, and an additional 12% on top of that to other influencer marketing. So if you aren't able to set your business apart, that then goes to number 5. I'm not sure that they really know what sets them apart yet either.
Right.
So looking at comparables, there's a lot of people in the game. There's Tinley Beverage, Alkaline Water, Center Brands, Sproutly, Mirth Provisions, Dixie Brands, New Age Beverage Corp. So on average, they have a $115 million market valuation, and Happy Tea is supposed to be, 9.7 million.
This is another missed opportunity. I am familiar with some of the companies on this list. Some of these companies are subsidiaries of much larger companies. So how do they get the valuation? For example, Dixie is affiliated with a large corporate parent in Canada. So is the $89 million valuation the corporate parent or the tea company? I don't know the answer to that. And I also think that Dixie is a cosmetics company, much more of a cosmeceutical type model as opposed to tea. And this gets to sort of understanding your market and understanding the needs of your business and identifying who your competitors are. For example, Oleo. Oleo is a company here in Seattle, and they make CBD tea. They're not on here. Why? Because they're not an $89 million company, but they are actually a direct competitor to Happy Tea and missed opportunity. They do not apparently understand their market, which is one of the Talking Hedge 7 tips. They missed it.
One of the last slides is going into describing what CBD is. I mean, if you're gonna be describing your product, you should have this at one of the first slides, not the last slide. So I don't know. I don't even know what to say about it.
Yeah, delete that slide. Gone. Yeah.
They finally get into market projections, and that's maybe a little late as well, unless you're kind of looking to create a summary and try and drive that final sale. I'm not sure that they've done that.
Josh, maybe they're trying to do this as a call to action at the very end. Hey, jump on the bus, get in where it's pretty small, because it's going to be a huge market. And I do think that the industry agrees CBD is going to be huge. It's going to take off. It's going to be exponential. Number one, this slide is too late. And number two, this slide really does not say, invest in me now while I'm little. This slide says, hey, here you go. It's going to be a huge market. Come play with me. Missed opportunity.
So let's wrap this high tea up and see if they've met our 7 points to an engaging pitch deck. Did they identify the plan's goals by having a business model, problem, solution, and use sufficient data to tell the story?
They did have a plan, that chart where the timeline was present. They did identify a solution of CBD teas, and they didn't really explain the problem, except they did sneak it in a little bit with that slide involving the picture of their billboard, which I won't repeat. And that is also a caution. If people can't repeat your advertising, you need to ask yourself why. And they did use a few numbers, but Josh, they used the wrong numbers.
And maybe in the wrong place too, but I think they covered most of those. So I would give them a thumbs up overall. Number two is to know your audience. I would concur with you that, if you're going after some of these influencers, a lot of them are into, the paleo and healthy lifestyles. And so, a high sugar tea or just tea in general might not fit that same kind of mold. So I'm not quite sure that you're with 80% of the budget going to influencers. I'm not sure you know your audience.
Agreed.
So they kind of got straight to the point. Didn't necessarily pack an emotional punch, but overall, I'm not entirely convinced they know their audience. Number 3 is to understand the market. They did use some marketing and sales data towards the very end. I think they understand the market. I think that they probably could do some more research and add more SKUs, because I'm a little bit nervous with the lack of diversity.
I think that they have a baseline understanding of the market, but I think they need to take a deeper dive to identify who their core customer is and what the core product is. I like the packaging. I like it. The messaging on it is clear. Hey, happy tea. That's great. But what am I going to do with the happy tea? Am I going to get happy after sports, at the soccer game, when I go out clubbing with my friends? I don't know what I'm going to do with this happy tea.
They did not make claims, but maybe that's after the whole FDA thing. I'm not sure that they identified needs. They put in some roadblocks, maybe. So the number 4 on the 7 points to an engaging pitch deck. What do you think? Did they identify needs and roadblocks?
They didn't identify a need in any way, shape, or form why I need this product, happy tea. And one of the things that really disappointed me about this pitch deck was the lack of roadblocks. Competition in this space is huge. Coca-Cola is in CBD. Constellation Brands is in CBD. And you're going to go up against a behemoth using Kim Kardashian. I think that is the wrong approach. And also, they didn't address in any way, shape, or form the regulatory roadblocks with the FDA coming down, limiting CBD in food. It's a problem.
Yeah, and to clarify, Washington just put a ban on all CBD-infused beverages. California did that last year. Who knows what Canada is going to do October 17th of this year. So definitely didn't meet number 4.
There are currently 14 states with a hard, full, complete ban on CBD, Josh. 14.
They did throw out some projections, and they had like a little graph of what they wanted to do. I didn't really see a lot of milestones. The financing, they threw that out there. That was fine. That was easy. Not necessarily pro forma financial statements, but they did throw out a graph for investment.
At least they addressed it. Some people don't even put financials at all. So
And so number 5 is knowing what sets the business apart. There are a lot of competitors, many that aren't on the list, like you mentioned. And so I don't think they really know what sets them apart yet. They're still growing.
I think they're expecting social media influencers to set them apart, which is not the strongest strategy, not the best strategy. It is a strategy, but not one that I would pursue.
In introducing the team and product, I thought they did a fairly good job. We've seen other decks that haven't done that. So they did introduce the team, kind of gave a little quick a bio, as well as some things they've done in the past. They introduced the products later down, at least halfway, if not 2/3 of the way, about future products. But again, not enough. I think they need at least 15 SKUs.
I think they met that requirement, Josh. The team, and most importantly, it wasn't just a picture of, hey, this guy's on our team. Picture, name that I can research, and some experience. I think they met that requirement.
Yeah, that was a good one. The final one is to create a summary. It was there. I don't know if it really conveyed a sense of urgency, but there was a little summary.
There was, that I have now completely forgotten, and 2-3 minutes later. My takeaway from here, Josh, there's a brand out there with a really cute package called Happy Tea. I don't know if it's caffeinated, decaffeinated. I don't know. where I can buy it. I don't know where it's being sold right now. I don't know. I guess I'll have to check my Instagram account, Josh.
So did they get 3 out of 7 points on this one?
I would give them 3.5. They did a acceptable job. And if I was interested in investing in CBD teas, it would be enough for me to follow up. It was not enough as a standalone document, although very frequently it's not. But it was enough to trigger me. If I was going to invest in their company, it would trigger me to give them a call for more information. So 3.5.
3.5. That's a half a leaf rating. I would definitely attribute most of that to number 6. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think having that team and what they've done drives more decisions than the actual product themselves. But not bad. I mean, 3.5 leaf. Half a leaf isn't terrible. They don't necessarily make the grade, but there's obviously time to make some improvements. And like you said, Katrina, it's an opportunity for an angel investor like yourself to ask more questions and get what they need. So maybe that's all they needed was half a leaf.
Well, if I was going to invest in tea, I would call them, yes.
Perfect. Well, Katrina Glogowski, I want to thank you for being on the podcast. Angel investor in the local Seattle area, half a dozen companies all over from Canada to California. How can they reach you?
They can find me on LinkedIn, or they can find me at the Talking Hedge podcast with Josh Kincaid.
Love that shout out. With that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is the Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't. And I'm out.